Hello again, everybody. This is my third video. This time I figured that I should actually do the video that I should have done in the first place, but I was so excited about sharing my Motor City Comic Con haul that I didn't really do an introduction. So I'm going to do an introduction video now, kind of give you an idea of how I got into comic books, and then I guess end it off with the books that I picked up this week. My name is Scott Jimenez, or Jimenez, whichever. I don't really care. I've been collecting comic books since 1990. I actually got into it by way of going to a local comic book store called Nostalgia Inc. I used to go in there to pick up horror movie magazines, stuff like Fangoria, Gore Zone, and the lesser-known Slaughterhouse and Toxic Horror magazines. I used to go in there every week, or every month rather, to pick up my lovely little horror movie magazines, and would just go in there and get the magazines, and I was on my way out the door. One day in early 1990, I decided to kind of explore the store a little bit more, get an idea of what else is in there, and started looking through their comic books, and happened to see this. And as a young horror fan, something like this really caught my attention. The Flaming Skull, the motorcycle with the flaming tires, and it was a first issue. I figured, what the heck, I'd pick it up, check it out, and I had no idea that this one comic book would lead to some 27 years and thousands of comic books in my collection. That led me to sort of a good luck moment for me, because not knowing too much about comic books, I wanted to sort of get to know what this whole thing was all about. So the gentleman who owned the store, Leonard Literal, pointed me sort of into the direction of this crossover that Marvel was doing shortly after that story picked up, and it was the Infinity Gauntlet. So I grabbed the Infinity Gauntlet #1 along with the Silver Surfer. It's actually the first issue of Silver Surfer I ever bought, and this introduced me to the Marvel Universe in general. So through there, I got into with the Infinity Gauntlet, it was Adam Warlock, it was Thanos, it was Mephisto. I got into other characters through Marvel. I became mostly a Marvel person. Really, the only DC character I get into is Lobo. I've got plenty of those books in these boxes here. Then I discovered a completely new character by way of Fangoria magazine, and was able to get a hold of Evil Ernie. And this one here is actually signed by Brian Pulido, Stephen Hughes, the late great Stephen Hughes. It even has the Chaos Certificate of Authenticity in it, something that you would get when you would actually meet these guys at a show and get an autograph from them. So from there, I just read comic books, and with the guidance of Len down at Nostalgia, I figured I got into sort of the lesser known characters. I mean, he introduced me to characters that were not Marvel or DC, stuff like Flaming Carrot and Concrete, Strangers in Paradise, some really great titles that don't really get a lot of attention anymore, but really should, because there's some quality stuff. So on the videos I'm going to be making here on Comic Book Hangover, I am going to talk about the stuff that I like. These sort of books that I showed you here. I'm going to talk more about them. I'll talk about the stuff that I pick up every week, maybe do like a little quick review of what I pick up. And the one thing that you won't hear me talk about too much about here on this page are the comic book movies. I figure there's enough people talking about the movies that I don't need to do it. And to be quite honest with you, I don't watch a whole lot of the comic book movies. I don't really care for them. I know it's a taboo thing to say, but that's the truth. I'm a comic book guy, and when I talk about comic books, I get very passionate about them. I really get into it and kind of ramble on and on and on about them. So I'm going to talk about them, but try not to ramble on too much. I want to try to keep these videos anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. This one might be the exception. It might go a little longer. I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to go. But going to wrap this up soon, because, I mean, it's a nice day outside, and we got things to do. So I want to show you the stuff that I picked up this week, give you an idea of what's on my my pull list right now, with the exception of this first book here. Actually, Marvel loves to do these variant covers, And this month's variant cover gimmick is the Mary Jane covers. And I wasn't going to get any of them. I wanted to avoid them at all costs. But they decided to do this really hot Daredevil cover. And I could not resist getting this cover. I mean, it's just amazing. It's going to find a nice home in my collection. I don't know if I want to keep it for very long. But for now, it's there in my collection. For my regular books this week, I picked up Ever After from the pages of Fables, issue 10. I am a big Fables fan. I started collecting the series when it began many, many years ago. I actually picked up the first issue because the cover was awesome and wound up reading it. And it became one of those things where I read the first issue and thought, well, I'll read the first storyline, see how that is. The first storyline became the second storyline, and then so on and so on. And then, you know, 12, 13 years later, over 200 collective issues later, I've got a huge collection of Fables books, and I absolutely love this series. It's a great book. And fortunately, with comic books and horror movies, I can do both. I can keep my favorite classic horror movies going with my comic books, thanks to Space Ghost Publishing, whatever. This Evil Dead 2 series of books that these guys are doing are great. They're just mini-series, 2 issues, 1 issue, something like that. This one features the character Evil Ed that showed up in Evil Dead 2. Actually, their line of books are Evil Dead 2 books. They kind of ignore the whole Army of Darkness thing that another publisher is doing. That they're all right, but these are the books that I like to read. Real quickly, wrapping this up with some zombie stuff. I do read Walking Dead. Still enjoying the book. I actually read the book more than I watch the show. I don't watch the show too much anymore, just, you know, because it's inconvenient to check it out. Big Marvel Zombies fan, so when I found out that we were doing a Marvel Zombies series that takes place in the cinematic universe, I had to check it out. Big plus for this one also is that it's a black and white book, and it's also an American adaptation, translation of sorts, of a Japanese story. So you read this like a Japanese book from back to front. What we consider the front of the book is actually the back and reversed. Great series. Unfortunately, the cover for this one is my least favorite cover. It's just kind of a mess. Could have been much better, but the story is still really good. And the guys down at my local comic book store, still Nostalgia Inc. I've been going down there all these years. It's still going strong. The guys down there know me very well, and they came across a couple of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark comics. Pulled them for me. They're $1 each, so it kind of puts me on the path of finally getting around to getting the entire run of this series. I've got 5 of them, 161 more to go. I should have them all in no time. So that's what I picked up this week, and that's a little bit about who I am and what got me in the comic books. It all started with Ghost Rider, and branched off into all these other books, including some great Chaos comic stuff. I got 2 or 3 boxes of Chaos books down here that we'll go through at some point. EC Comics, DC, all these things. I've got a very eclectic collection that I'll be sharing with you guys as we go along here. So I think we can wrap that up right now. We'll end it there, and I'll try to do these videos on a bit more of a regular basis, at least once a week. I don't want to bore you guys too much. I also want to thank everybody who commented and watched my first 2 videos. The warm welcome that I got from everybody else in the YouTube comic book community really helped encourage me to kind of continue with this whole thing. So thank you guys very, very much. I'll be doing some specific shout outs to you guys in my next couple of videos, but I do want to say just a collective thank you very much. It really meant a lot to me to just get such a warm reception from you guys. So we're gonna end this right now. I'll be back as soon as I can with another video. I hope you watch this, hope you enjoy it, and again, any comments, suggestions, anything you'd like to see in my collection, we'll go ahead and do that. I am working on picking up my room, putting some stuff together in here so I could do sort of a tour of my room, give you an idea of what I have here. We'll have that up there, up and running, and have that video hopefully really soon. But we'll see you guys next time, hopefully about the same time next week. I'll let you know. Talk to you later. Bye.